Good morning, everyone. Good morning, and welcome to Anthea's Analogies. Welcome. This is week 3 of Anthea's Analogies, where I just take an example of something to compare to something else, to give a different understanding, a different perspective. So this morning, week 3, we welcome as you all start joining me this morning. I just want to welcome you. Last week we spoke about inheritance and how God has a lot of blessings stored up for us and how we can access those by getting closer to Him and remaining focused on God. So that was last week's analogy about inheritance. Now, as always with analogies and with any time that we try to compare something to God, it will never stack up. It will never meet the criteria for what to understand God. There'll be limitations. So I always say that no analogy is going to be perfect and fit the description fully. But what I would ask is that we take the message for what it is and go with the meaning. It's hashtag don't resist, relate. So just go with the flow, go with the meaning and try to relate to the message. So good morning to you all. Welcome Karen, welcome Paula, welcome the other Karen, RevSmiler. Welcome this morning, and to all those others that I don't recognize your picture. I'm sorry, I will get there eventually, but I don't recognize everyone's picture. But if you're on, give me a shout out, put something in the comments. I'll be able to know that you're with me. Good morning, Rosie. I think that's Rosie I see there. Good morning to you all. So, week 3. So today is titled Biting Points. And I know you must be wondering, what does that mean? But before we get into it, I'm going to share the verse with you this morning. I'm going from John chapter 14, verse 6. Jesus said, I am the way and the truth and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me. I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me. Okay, good morning, Julia. This morning, I'm talking about cars. Any drivers online with me at the moment? Any drivers? I have a poll question for you. For all the drivers out there, and even if you don't drive. What do you prefer? Do you prefer manual or automatic cars? What is your preference? Manual or automatic? The reason why I ask you that will become clear in a moment. Well, for my preference, I always used to prefer a manual transmission. So going through the gears, it made me feel like I was in more control of the car. And I liked it. But recently, I had the privilege of being able to drive an automatic car. And it was so relaxing. I just thought, wow, this is actually quite nice. I could get used to an automatic. But I don't know. I still don't know if I can let go of the manual way of driving with the gearbox and everything. So, what do you prefer? What is your preference? Manual or automatic? Leave a comment. Let me see. Is it manual or is it automatic that you prefer? Well, it looks like some of you are undecided. Well, this morning I am going to be looking at manual driving. And my analogy today is based on how you drive a manual car. Now, in a manual car, you have a clutch pedal, you have your brake pedal, and then you have your accelerator pedal. Now, when driving in a manual car, you have to push the clutch in and then put the car in gear, and then slowly release the clutch and slowly push down on the accelerator. And at some point, you will reach what's called the biting point. Now, Paula says she likes automatic. Automatic every time, especially in traffic. Yes, there are benefits to an automatic car, indeed. Karen says, like you, had both, but although I love the automatic, I prefer the manual. So we have mixed opinions. But yes, with the manual transmission, when you're driving, you have to clutch down, go into gear, slowly release, slowly press down on the accelerator at the same time, and you will reach the biting point. Now, when you reach the biting point, that is the level where you have enough accelerator and you have released enough on the clutch that the car now is able to move once it hits that biting point. That point of balance where the car has enough release on the clutch and enough acceleration to be able to start that process of moving. Now, the analogy is, that got me thinking about how that is essentially how our life is with God. We just imagine that we are the clutch and God is the accelerator. We have to clutch in and slowly let go. Let go. And then the accelerator, which is God, will come into play. Now, when there's balance, when that balance hits that biting point, only then do we start to move in the direction of the Lord. Now, the accelerator is the one that controls the speed, right? The accelerator determines your speed. However, in order to move through the gears, you have to clutch down, which is where we come in. Now, where the Lord controls the speed, we always think that we're in control. But we're just a clutch. We just determine which gear we're in. The speed then comes from the accelerator. God is in control of the speed and how we move into the next level. However, we have to clutch down. We have to be connected. We have to put our foot down, clutch in, change the gears, then change, and then we have to find that biting point again. And it's about finding that biting point, that groove where we connect with God, connect with Him. And that connection has to be in balance. Same way in the car. When you find that biting point, it has to be in balance in order for you to move. You have to push down for the next gear. Now, if that balance isn't right, the car stalls. Total shutdown. Everything cuts off. Engine, everything. You're at a standstill. If you release the clutch too quick and there's not enough acceleration, the car will stall. If you excel and you haven't clutched in, the car's stalling. That balance, you have to find that biting point, which is why there's two different tests. You can go and have a automatic driving test and just have an automatic license, or you can go for your manual test. So there is different preferences, and the manual one is a bit difficult because you have to find that biting point. You have to find that balance. Otherwise, the car will stall. And when it stalls, it's a total shutdown. You have to restart the car and start all over again. Now, you got me thinking about how we defend God. If we think about parents, if anyone says anything about someone's child, you'll see a defense rise up in the parent. They will come in guns blazing to, protect their child. They will, they have this, I don't know, something comes in you and you will defend your child at all costs, and when anyone says, I kind of get that feeling when anyone says anything against God. There's something that rises up in me and I come in defense just as a parent would for their child. And it got me thinking about how we are with God. How we are with God. Now, Karen all week has been thinking about taking time out to rest. Taking time out to rest and be with God. Be still and know. We go into automatic mode when we come on that defense mode. When we face challenges, when we're going through trials, when we're upset, when we're angry, when we're going through our feelings. We get into moments where we go into overdrive sometimes. We push. And that's the moment where we are called to maybe rest. Rest. Find that balance. Find that biting point. We need to think about the balance in our life. The enemy likes to bring distraction. So he'll bring busyness into our lives. And Karen's been speaking all about having that time to rest, to go into a quiet place, to be in God's presence. And it reminded me of Jesus all the time. Every time, Jesus always spent time to go and spend time with the Father. There's people waiting on him. There's crowds and crowds of people waiting on him to hear teaching, but he would go and spend time with the Father, focusing on God. Now, when I think about Judas and Jesus' relationship with Judas, when I think about that defense that comes up, how I get when I want to defend anyone that said anything against God. When I think about Jesus and his relationship with Judas, imagine knowing that the person who's going to betray you in such a way is your disciple, the person you have called to send out your message, your friend, your follower, that's the person that you're hanging around with. Is going to betray you. When I think about when people have betrayed us or deceived us or hurt us in any kind of way, it's usually someone close to us, someone we know. But then I think about Jesus. I say, but Jesus knew what Judas was going to do to him and was still his friend, still hung around him. And even when Judas was coming to do the act of betrayal, coming to kiss him, to show those that were coming to crucify him who to crucify, Jesus said to him, do what you're here to do. The irony of it is his reaction was so much different to how we would react when we're trying to protect someone or defend someone. He said to Judas, do what you came here to do. Even saying to the Father, forgive them for they know not what they do. Jesus was all about the love. His love was so deep that he saw beyond the person and what they were doing. He saw beyond our sin. He saw beyond the wrong and took that sin away on the cross. He sacrificed his life to set us free. Now, there is a song I'm going to play that I want you to really listen to the words, and it talks about telling everyone you know about this love. That's why I'm wearing this top today, because it's all about that sacrifice, that love that surpasses all understanding, that love, that unconditional love that I don't think we fully understand or can fully comprehend. That love that Jesus had for what he did on the cross for us. And how we are to turn to him, finding that balance. You see, Jesus kept in balance because he went to the Father in all things. Even with all the distraction and noise that was going around, he would always prioritize leaving where he is, going to a quiet place, usually up a mountain or a hill, to be with the Father. He remained balanced. He was able to catch that biting point where God could then lead and allow him to move in his purpose and his call in life. So when Karen this week has all this week been talking about finding that rest, finding that balance in our lives, what do we prioritize? Do we prioritize that time to go away and be still and be in God's presence, giving everything to God in prayer? How are we finding that balance? Are we getting that biting point to allow God to allow us to move in the direction and the specific purpose he's placed in our lives? And as we go on that journey, are we working through the gears? Are we going up the levels? Are we clutching in? Are we pressing into our relationship with God to allow us to move up the gears in order for God, the accelerator in our lives, to be able to speed up in what we're doing? How are we finding that balance? Because as I said in the beginning, John 14 verse 6, Jesus said, I am the way, the truth and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me. What is our preference? What is our priority in life? As we transition and coming out of this lockdown, with all the uncertainty that there is in our lives at the moment, in all aspects of our lives, are we focusing and remaining focused in God? You know, the words, I want to read to you some of the words in this song. It says, you thought I was worth saving, so you came into my life. You thought I was worth keeping, so you sacrificed your life. You thought I was to die for, just so that I can be free, so I can be whole, and so I can tell everyone I know. As Rev Smiler has said in the comments, the truth will set us free. And indeed, the truth will set us free. And the Bible always says God is love. God is love. Again, why I'm wearing this top this morning. Love. God is love. And the truth will set us free. He thought you, yes you was to die for. Just so you could be free. So we could be free. So we could have eternal life. So we can return to the Father. So we can defeat death and be with God eternally. So this morning, what I would like you to do is just really think about the balance in your life. Are you finding that biting point where there's enough God in your life and enough of us letting go on the clutch, letting go of our lives and allowing God to press in to find that biting point where we can move? Amen. Right, but let's listen to this song. It's called Worth by Anthony Brown. And please listen to the words and know that Jesus thought you were to die for. You sacrificed your life so I could be free. The key line in there, as Karen's put in the comments, I will tell everyone I know. And it's times like this, I think God is calling us as Christians to stand up for what we believe, stand up for Him, tell everyone we know. The same way we would defend our children at the drop of a hat. Stand up for Jesus. Tell everyone we know what God is doing in our lives and what that relationship with Him means. Prioritize. Find that balance. Get that biting point. Grow deeper in your relationship and your journey with God so that you can work through the gears. Rest. Rest. Let us go against our natural way of reacting by reacting the way Jesus did. Very humbly, very gracefully, forgiving even Judas. Let us turn to God in all things. In all things. Rest. Come out of the distraction. Come out of the work mode. Come out of the hustle of life. Go into the stillness. Follow as Jesus did. Go up that mountain. Find that place of quiet and be in the presence of God to help lead us in life, to help lead us on our way. Thank you for joining me this morning. I see my mum, morning, Patrice, morning, Charlene, morning, Paula, Quincy, Julie, Karen. Good morning to you all. Have a blessed day. Know your worth. Know that you were to die for. Know that you are set free. And find that biting point. Thank you for joining me this morning. Hashtag don't resist, relate. Find your rest moments. Love. God is love. Join me next Thursday. Thank you and have a blessed day. Join Karen tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. for Thankful Fridays, where we thank God for the blessings that He's given us. And yes, have a blessed day. Don't let anyone steal your joy. See you tomorrow morning. God bless.